Another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, the floor is yours. Yeah, baby, I mean the floor is yours. Baby, come down to the floor is yours. Let me show you how cool the floor is yours. 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 The floor is yours.
Now it's my turn to tell y'all about my big bro Gerard and the podcast crew.
Hey everybody, welcome to Real Men Talk. Hey, this is one of my favorite times here because this is where me and Gerard, we get together and we let you guys behind the scenes. I know a lot of times, especially women, they want to know what is it that men talk about when there's no women around. Well, this is where it happens. This is the safe place where we discuss the issues that men are facing and we try to bring real solutions at the same time. You know, we're here to bring you the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, the physical, the financial advice that you need. But we're always going to keep it real too, because we know that life be lifing. It ain't always easy. It's not always going to be rainbows and unicorns. So we're going to hit it. We're going to hit it hard. We're always going to keep it real. And hopefully, by the end of every discussion, you've taken away some nuggets so that you can become the real man that you always need to be. So I'm excited. Gerard, how you doing today, brother?
Man, life is good, man. You know, when I tell people that, I say that, and it's not omitting any challenges that I'm having in life, but it's just recognizing also that, you know, man, I do have some good times. But, you know, part of the discussion about tonight is being sure that we are being open and honest about what we are dealing with. So, you know, it's easy to say life is good, but to your point, do we have those safe spaces where we can discuss what our challenges are? And that's why I like Real Men Talk. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to be transparent, you and I, you know, hoping that it encourages other people to build and create those safe spaces, you know, wherever they are, whether it's in their relationships, you know, intimate relationships, friendships, at jobs, somewhere that you can feel safe to express, you know, what you're feeling and what you're dealing with. And this thing about men being brokenhearted, I know in our society, it's not looked up on as favorable, you know, because, you know, we talk about all the time about men needing to be strong. But I think even as people are more receptive of men expressing what they're feeling, I think there might be a line in the sand when it comes to being brokenhearted. Like, hey, you need to get over it. And at least that's what I gathered from some of the conversations that I've had.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they want to say it ain't cute for a man to be crying.
Yeah.
You know, but it happens. You know, we're human. We have feelings and we have emotions, and sometimes we get overwhelmed with those emotions, especially when we face disappointment. And it's not because we're weak or fragile or less than. It just means that we're human. And it's when in those times of your humanity that you really understand who's got your back. If a person can stand by your side and you know, be with you with no shame and no judgment while you're grieving, that's a real friend. So you learn a lot about your circle when you're grieving as well. But you're absolutely right to your point. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. You know, the Bible says, count it all joy when, not if, but when you fall into diverse trials. So we all going to catch it. We are going to catch it. And old school, I remember an old head once told me, he said, you're not a man until you've had your heart broken. So it's graduation season.
Hey, if that's a rite of passage that we all got to go through, if I knew that before, I probably would have tried to avoid it, man. I'll be honest. But, you know, I get what old school said about it. You know, I want to start with the safe space, though. You know, I think you and I, we benefit from safe spaces. And for me, I know it's intentional. Like I build and nurture those relationships where it can be mutually beneficial, where I can open up when necessary. And, you know, the podcast crew, you know, is one of those. You know, we got, you know, men, you and I, but we also got some mature women on the team with us too, that we can have some real deep discussions about. So talk about a safe space. Like, what does it look like? How do you
excuse me? Oh, my brother.
What does it look like? And how do you build those safe spaces?
You know, there's has to be a commonality. right? A lot of times you find that you're able to have a safe space with someone who's familiar with your journey. And so maybe you grew up in the same area, you face some of the same hardships in life. And so a bond can be created that way. But what really creates a safe place is someone that you have seen has a pure heart. So you're looking for someone that has character and integrity. What this reminds me of, and this is something that I tell a lot of men when we're discussing. Gerard, do you play video games? Have you ever played video games in your life?
I am. It has been a while. I haven't.
Okay. Well, you may have heard there's a video game called Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And so in Call of Duty, there's a time when the main player is in danger, and you would hear the player say, "Cover me, I'm reloading." It doesn't mean that your player is dead. It just means that if he's not protected, he's in severe danger. And so, what we need to challenge ourselves to create that safe space as men is that when a brother comes to you and says, "Cover me, I'm reloading," can you cover him in prayer? Can you watch over him? Cover me, I'm dealing with a broken heart. Cover me, I'm dealing with the loss of a loved one. Cover me, I'm dealing with the loss of a job. If you don't cover me, this what I'm facing could take me out.
Wow.
So we as men need to check on our strong friends. And so, and I give that image because as men, I don't want you to think because you need covering that you're weak. You're not weak, you're just reloading. And you're a military guy, Gerard. So you know if you're loading your gun, then you mean business. I'm still in the fight. And once I finish reloading, once I get my ammunition back,
Yeah.
I'm back in the fight again. I just need you to cover me while I'm reloading. And so, men, if you're in a place right now where something is taking you out or something is attacking you, find your brother who can cover you, who you can go to and say, "I'm mad at God right now, and I can't pray the way that I need to be praying. Can you pray for me? Cover me. I'm reloading. I'm not taken out, but once I get reloaded, I'm back in the fight again."
I love that analogy, man. And as you were talking through it, you talked about how to cover. And one of them you mentioned is prayer. Another one is sound counsel.
Yeah,
Like where are you getting your advice from and how to
yeah,
handle situations, right?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I definitely, I want someone that's a little bit further down the road than me. And so like my daughters are 17 and 22. So I got grown kids, right? Essentially. And so it may be a bias of mine, but you can't give me parenting advice if your child is just in kindergarten. Nah, I need you to go through some stages and some places that I've been through. So you're looking for someone that has been down that road or is an example of what you want to be. And those are the people that you want to give sound advice from. Not that those other people are bad. It's just that you're not facing what I'm facing.
Yeah.
So I need someone that has been through this battle before. So how did you
Yeah.
deal with it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And I think when you using that military analogy, we
Hmm.
cover by multiple people sometimes, usually.
Yeah.
Hopefully. And one of them could be someone who has been through it. It may be someone else who, has the education or the expertise in that arena. And even though they haven't been through a specific scenario like that, but they might be telling you like, "Hey, brother, pray. Hey, brother, go reach out to someone. Hey,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the way that you responded when the godly thing to do, right?
Yeah, yeah, and not one person can be all things. I like to think I'm a good brother to call for spiritual or emotional stuff, but I can't fix a car. I can't help you with your computer, so I'm not that dude for that. But if you need like someone to sit down and maybe have a therapy session with,
Yeah,
call me. I'm good.
yeah,
But if your carburetor's acting up, I ain't the one. I
yeah.
can't help you with that
Uh,
one.
that's good. That's good. But you
Yeah,
could tell them where they need to go, maybe. Hey, so let's
yeah,
take a minute. I just want we didn't do this in the beginning, to announce or recognize our followers. So those that's out there following us, come on with the comments. Tell us hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Hit us with the comments and questions. We're gonna make sure we get to as many of them as possible. But we got our good friend and sister, Misha Thomas. Speaking of,
woo.
I see. Speaking of safe spaces, she's
Yeah,
definitely one of those that I would consider to be a safe space for me.
yeah.
Um,
She is awesome and
yeah,
amazing.
my brother Run, likewise, man. He said, "What's up?" And then Miss Dorkisa Henry. I haven't seen her before, but hey, Dorkisa, if this is your first time, we're honored that you spending the evening with us. I hope that you get something out of this and comment. You know, if you got something that you want to chime in on, a question you want to ask, or even if you don't agree, you know, let us know. We want to make sure that we get to all the questions and comments as we can.
And not only that, tell all the men that you know what we're talking about tonight. So call your brother, your father, your cousin, all the guys that you know, and say, "Hey, you need to listen to this."
Yeah, yeah. So, hey, this thing about brokenhearted, I know we talked about being able to define it to make sure that we're
Yeah.
all on the same page. So, can you give like your definition of what it means to be brokenhearted?
Yeah, a broken heart is when you are extremely emotionally invested in a situation and it ends abruptly. That's a broken heart. You have a heavy emotional investment in a situation and or person, and it doesn't end in success. That's
Yeah,
what causes a broken heart. Now, to go a little bit deeper, a broken heart is grief, and grief is an unwanted change. Grief is an unwanted change, and so a broken heart is a form of grief. And so what happens is that people always ask the question, well, what grief is worse? You know, is it the loss of a job? Is it the loss of a relationship? The worst type of grief is your grief, the one that you're experiencing right now. That's the worst type, is the one you're going through. No need to compare about this person's loss versus your loss. It's not a competition. If it's your grief, that's the worst grief. So broken heart is when you're heavily invested, emotionally invested in something and it doesn't end in success.
yeah. That's heavy. And to your point, it can be a number of things: personal relationships, friendships,
A
death,
job,
job. Yeah, a number of things right there. So,
a
so
hobby. Mhm.
I know in the past, you know, I remember years ago, you know, when I was getting into this space of podcasting, or even just understanding emotional wellness and mental wellness in a more mature manner. I understood at that point why some people struggle with being able to express their brokenheartedness, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But as I, you know, even get into higher circles, if you will, more mature and accomplished men, doctors, educated people, they still struggle with being able to express and show or tell that they are brokenhearted. So what's up with that? Like you, in my mind, I'm thinking more accomplished people.
yeah,
Hey, that shouldn't
yeah.
be an issue that's ongoing.
You know, Gerard, you're diving into deep waters with that because when people come to me about a broken heart, and I go through the regular stuff I know we're going to get to today, I go through a lot of the step by step stuff that I want to share tonight. But to answer your question specifically, it is a void that you have allowed someone else to feel. So what happens is if you have an extended time frame of recovering from a broken heart, the issue is you have given someone externally the responsibility for your internal healing. So let
Oh,
me, let me be a little bit more specific.
okay.
So what that person did is that person validated you. I wasn't somebody until I was her girlfriend, unless I was, because I defined myself as her husband. And now that I'm not her husband anymore, now I have a broken heart because I was giving her the power to externally put a band-aid on what should have been my internal healing.
Yeah.
And so a lot I've known people who not only in higher social economic groups, but I've known people who have extended time frames. I'm working with someone right now who's been grieving for 5 years now, their divorce. They've been divorced for 5 years and it still hurts just like it was yesterday. So and so we're diving into those waters now. Okay, what did that person do for you that you should have been doing for yourself? Because at this point in time, there should be a some type of movement. You know, you should now there is some grief that never leaves you. That's a little bit different, like the loss of a child that stays with you for a lifetime. And then when those discussions, we're talking about trauma management, how to respond when you're triggered. But for the sake of a broken heart, I gotta ask you, okay, what is that person doing for you that you do for yourself?
Man, it sounds like some self accountability in there, right?
One
Um,
hundred percent,
understanding that.
one
Yeah,
hundred percent.
it's
Yeah,
good.
which is the essence of resolving the victim, because it's okay to say, you know what, I'm hurting because of what this person did to me, but you become a victim when there's no accountability, and so. feeling, sad for yourself is okay to the point, but it crosses it comes to a point of being a victim when you don't say, well, this was what I did to cause this to happen too. This was my contribution to the
Yeah,
situation.
that's good. So I know you had some notes too. So I got some more, but I'm gonna let you get to some of the stuff that you want to discuss, and then we'll mosey on through the conversation.
Listen, I talk to a lot of guys, and one of the things, now my conversations, 80% of my conversations are with men, 20% are with women. And I wish I had more women in my life to talk to because they have a bigger, broader perspective than men do. Men tend to think with tunnel vision. And one of the things that most men try to do is deny their feelings. I don't care about her. Man, I can get me another one. So she ain't all that anyway. They try to lessen the impact by making her less significant
Hey,
in
I
their
heard it
life.
called "fake it till you make it," right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But let me, and it's so easy to be angry, right? But it's her loss, and she did this, and she did that, and all this and all this other stuff. However, listen, this is what I want men. If you're taking notes, write this down. Anger is a bodyguard for pain.
Anger is a bodyguard for pain.
Yeah.
Like,
And so instead of you dealing with the pain, you're just covering it up with anger. And that is unfortunately what we're taught to do as men, is to remain stoic, not to express any other feelings than extreme feelings. So you have to be extremely happy or extremely happy. We're not allowed to just be in the middle and be confused at the time. And
mm,
saying to yourself, I don't know how I feel right now is an appropriate answer. But a lot of men try to deny their feeling. I don't want men to ever deny the feelings or deny how much you love her,
yeah,
because the presence that you still have feelings for her shows the world and yourself your capability to love. It is like saying, ego saying, I never want to fly 100 feet in the air. Well, you know what? You can. So that is, you may have been hurt for going that high, but it just shows your ability to fly that high. So
yeah,
the fact that you love her just shows your ability to love that deep, which is a gift. So stop denying your feelings. Stop resorting to pain, because pain is just a bodyguard. Stop resorting to anger, because anger is just a bodyguard for pain. Face the pain.
yeah.
I
I
want to
like.
say this.
Go,
Say
go,
this
go ahead, bro.
real quick. I don't know if you've ever studied buffaloes before, but when buffaloes are in a herd and they see a storm coming, what buffaloes will do is they walk toward the storm. And what they have discovered is that buffaloes have understood that if I walk toward the storm, I'm going to spend less time in the storm because I'm going to walk to it and then through it.
Yeah,
Psychology and healing works the same way. So, men, if you're hurting, go toward that pain so that you can go through it and you can pass it and then move on to the next chapter of your life.
that's good. In other words, go through it, meaning deal with it, address it, figure out
Hmm.
what happened and what you need to do to get through.
Stop ignoring it by doing all these destructive habits, by
Mm,
calling every woman that DMs you, by overeating, or by working around the clock or hitting the gym 8 hours a day. Stop covering it up.
yeah.
Face it head on.
Or like Miss Chastity said, most men don't heal. They 304.
Mm,
Yeah, and we talked about that earlier. Ways that men cope with
yeah.
their hurt and their pain, and it's like sometimes it's to put that pain on somebody else, right?
Yeah, well, I want to say most people 304,
Most people do. Yeah,
not just men,
yeah.
because here's
But we're
I
talking about
know.
men now, though.
But listen, if you ever hear a woman say, I'm just in my healing phase, that means she's in her hot girl summer.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps.
Mm,
But yeah, I just
okay.
want to focus on the men, though. You're right. So
Mm,
we're going to talk about the men that are brokenhearted.
right,
Is
right.
there some legitimacy to this statement, though?
There is, because you're looking for a band-aid. You're looking for something that feels good. You're just looking for a way to avoid the pain. It's not a sign of necessarily of emotional unintelligence. It's just a sign that you're avoiding. That's it. You're avoiding.
Yeah, that's good. So, and just to continue that, I think that's a great segue into the next discussion when we talk about what does brokenheartedness look like, right? Of course, it's varies from person to person depending on the situation. But are there some signs that you look for when you're dealing with men in your counseling sessions?
Yeah, yeah. So their light doesn't shine as bright. So if you have a friend, know how they say check on your strong friends. If you notice that a friend is not behaving in their usual manner, like he used to be the life of the party, every time he walked into the room, he had a joke. He was loud, he was gregarious. He was always talking to somebody, but now he's in the corner. He's just chilling. He's just quiet. That's a problem. And so other things are behavior that feels good to the flesh, but are not good for the soul. So over drinking, overeating, oversleeping, all of those things are tendencies that show up when a man is brokenhearted and he's withdrawn, he isolates himself. So all of those tend to be signs of not of a broken heart, and if not dealt with, could possibly lead to depression if they don't try to pull themselves out of it.
That's what I was going to
Um,
say. That sounds eerily similar to symptoms of depression. So,
Yeah, it is an early stage
yeah,
because you're practicing the habits, even though you may not have the diagnosis yet, but you're operating that way. So it doesn't necessarily mean that.
yeah.
But then also there's overly angry, so he hates every woman on the planet, which is not good at all. And so you will probably see his hygiene decline as well. He's not shaving as much. He's not brushing his teeth, not going to get a haircut, those type of things. He doesn't care about how he's looking when he dresses. And so when you see those things, it's time for us to cover him because he's reloading.
Mm,
And one
okay.
of the
Yeah.
one of the things I think, and for men, that's hard to do, right? That's hard to start that conversation. And so a good way to start the conversation is to go to that brother and say, I is to start the conversation with this: no shame, no judgment. I've been there. I see that you are now doing this and you fill in the blank. And that starts the conversation. No shame, no judgment. I've been there before. I've done this. It looks like you're dealing with this.
Yeah, yeah. So another thing too, and I know we can't do an exhaustive list of what it looks like to be brokenhearted, but two that stand out from my experience and self, and also dealing with other people is lack of financial responsibility, and
Hmm.
another one, oh man, it's just lost. I just lost it. Isolation.
Yeah. Isolation. Yeah. 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 They at home with the blinds closed, listening to the saddest music ever. They
Yeah.
listen to End of the Road by Boyz II Men just on repeat over and over again.
Yeah, I can laugh at this now, but I remember years ago, man, my young days in the army, I was experienced I guess it was brokenhearted. I was talking to a lady at that time that didn't want the relationship anymore, and she was like, "You need to stop listening to that Brian McKnight. That's why you can't get past it." And I was, man. I just put
That's
it on
true.
repeat, man. With Brian McKnight over and over and over.
That's true. That's true because the sadness starts to feel good. It starts to soothe you in a weird way. Uh, you punishing yourself
Yeah.
almost kind of satisfies your soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And before we move to the next topic, I just want to bring this comment up. Miss Coley Brown, she was the one of that won your book before. So she's saying thank you for the book. She graciously
Oh, I
appreciated it.
hope
So,
it's a blessing to you. Thank you so much.
yeah, so go on, shameless plug for your book. What is it about? And it even can tie into this topic, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote a book called Emotional Intelligence for Men. And in the book, we discuss how to identify what is emotional intelligence, how to see if a man is or not emotionally intelligent, and then to kind of gives you some nuggets on how to grow your emotional intelligence so you can be effective leader, spouse, contributor to your community. And
Yeah.
so you can pick it up on Amazon, type in Gregory McKinney, life coach, and you'll find it there. And it's a good read. It's a quick read, but it's also a good solid foundation for helping men understand emotional intelligence.
Yeah, it's good. Good book. I read it and it is. I like that it's a short read and doesn't take you a whole lot of time, but it's packed with the right information to
Hmm.
to help you get back in a good space. Tamika says, "Oh, Gregory is preaching tonight. Go towards the storm so you'll spend less time in the storm. She loved it. So for those
Yeah.
that's just maybe tuning in, can you give us that analogy again about going to the storm?
Yeah. Yeah. So when a herd of buffaloes realize that a storm is approaching, instead of running away from it, turning their backs and going the opposite way, they head toward it. And so they've discovered that they head toward it because buffalo understand that the quickest way through a storm is to go straight to it. And so I related that to the pain of a broken heart. Man, don't deny what you're feeling. Acknowledge what you're feeling. Face it. Ask yourself those tough questions. Why are these feelings lingering so long? What did this woman do for me that I can't do for myself? And then you'll get through it a lot faster.
Yeah. And I think what's important to point out too is sometimes we're not skilled enough in our own, beings to deal with that. So, it's okay to get help too, right?
Absolutely. And so that was part of my, that you're in my head, Gerard.
Yeah.
You're in my head. You're in my
Okay.
head because I have like five things or so that I like to tell people to get how to get over a broken heart, and it generally helps. And one of those things is to seek therapy.
Okay, so
Or
before we go through that list, let me drop board because that's going to be good. So let me hit a couple more of these comments. And to the audience, keep the comments coming. We got this expert on here who's ready to address them as much as he can. And we appreciate you. And we want to show our appreciation by making sure we engage with you. So Chastity, thank you, Chastity, again, this for tuning in again. But she says it's okay to be in the dark, but don't live there. And I think she's talking about once we isolate sometimes. Isolation can be good. If you look at it in the medical sense, if you get ill, they will isolate you momentarily while they work on diagnosing and figuring out how to take you through a healing process.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she said women do it too. She was talking about the 304.
304 stage. Yeah.
She said,
It's revenge. Some of it's revenge. I'm gonna show you.
Yeah, man. And that part right there, and we talked about yesterday when you and I was talking, that it's not too much unlike alcohol, right?
Yeah.
You're doing something to it, and you talked about that might be pleasing to the flesh, but it's not good for our soul and spirit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Tamika says this is very insightful. And let me see. Oh, it's always a pleasure when we see Monetta in the comment.
What's up,
Yeah,
Monetta?
you have to get Monetta on here again. It's always a good time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna let you get this one from Chastity.
I always ask, how's your mental? Because instead of or how you're doing, that's a good question to ask someone. How's your mental versus
that could be
how you
intrusive,
doing?
but I could see the benefit in actually being more specific like that.
Yeah, because how you doing, people will start thinking, well, all of my bills are paid, I'm healthy, and all that kind of stuff. But when you say you're mental, you're actually asking, how sound are you? So that is a great question to ask. And it requires, like, we paused when I read that. I was like, that's deep. It's going to require that person to pause and to think, how is my mental? Let me think about this before I respond.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She said, versus. Yeah. We get what you're saying.
Yeah, we got you. We got you.
That's heavy though. I like that. How is your mental
Versus how are you?
And I think it for me, it almost triggers me to be more honest, even if I don't answer it. Like now it's in my head. Like you're right there. I could say I'm doing okay, which usually means physically, with some things, but mentally I could be going through it.
Yeah. I always usually open up each session the same way with my clients and I ask, how's your head, your heart, and your spirit?
How your head, your heart, and your spirit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that generally kind of gives me the groundwork of where they're at in their mental today.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man. And I know I got a shout out to this one special lady. Well, all these ladies are special, but
all of them.
Anytime my mom on here, man, I gotta say hello.
Oh, hey, absolutely.
For sure. So you talked about 5 steps. Before. What was those 5 steps? And let's go through it.
Yeah. Now everybody's journey is different, so this is just kind of a blueprint to help you get started. And some of this will resonate and some won't. But first and foremost, being a faith-based coach, I always tell people the first thing you want to do is ask God to fill you up with His Spirit, so much so that losing her love doesn't affect you. Pray and ask God to just overwhelm you with his love, his presence, so much so that it shrinks the power of the loss that you're going through. Replace it, fill it with his presence. And so I think that's a good way to go. The Bible says, when Jesus was talking to the crowd, he says, if any man pursues me, he has to first hate his mother. And so that's kind of an interesting scripture, to read. But let me break it down for you. The scripture is actually a scripture of comparison. What Jesus is saying to us is that when you look at the love you have for your mother compared to the love you have for me, the love for your mother should look like hate because the love you have for me is so overwhelming. And so I always tell men that's the first step. You want the love for God to be so overwhelming that everything else in your life is a second or third place. There's nothing bigger than that. So that's the first thing.
And can we unpack that a little bit more and bring some more context? The
Yep.
love for God is love for people as well. So I don't think they talk about, hey, if you say you love God who you have not seen, but hate your brother who you seen, he can say you're a liar. And even in the greatest commandment, he was like, hey, what's the greatest commandment? Love you, Lord, your God, all your soul and heart. Then he said, but the second one is like it, is to love your neighbor as you love yourself. And I bring that up because here God is the uncaused. He don't need anything from us. And I'm just not to get too off topic, but when I hear people say, "Man, I love God more than anything," I'm like, how does it show? How does it show? And I think that triggers thoughts. It triggered a thought in me when I was asked that one time, and I was like, because I go to church, I put some money in I
I
mean,
pay my tithes.
yeah. What does love for God look like? So I'm just not to go into depth in it right there, but I was just thinking about that as you was talking about that first
Man,
one.
don't start me preaching because I will.
Yeah.
But that's also good. God's love must lead you in your every step, thought, and action. That should be
Yeah.
the primary focus. The second thing is this, and it's going to sound cliche, but it sounds cliche because it is a true fundamental for all walks of life. Speak kind to yourself. Number two is speak kind to yourself. You know how we have the tendency to, when we drop something in the kitchen, go, "Oh man, I'm such an idiot. I'm so clumsy." Don't do that. Right now, my brother, my friend, you got a broken heart. You're not worthless. Your value did not decrease because she didn't see your value. What is
Mm.
happening right now is that you're just reloading. You're reloading. You're loading up your gun so that you can come back stronger than ever before and attack life the way that it should be attacked. And so speak kind to yourself. You're not worthless. Another woman will see the value in you. She just didn't see your value in you. And truth be told, my brother, if she didn't see your value, then she's not the one. You don't want to be with a woman that doesn't see your value. Ask yourself, did you really want to be loved like that for the rest of your life? Did you really want to be loved like that for the rest of your life?
Yeah, you know what, man? If you're honest, some people, I'll be honest, I've been in that space, and it
Yeah.
made me. What I was doing was thinking I can love them into changing, their love for me.
Mm.
And I think for me, it was prideful, maybe. Like there's something special about me that's gonna, trigger, some in them to treat me better. But there's this old saying that says, and I'm paraphrasing it. It says to give people more of what they already don't value. It's crazy.
Yeah, you can't make people love you more by giving them more of what they don't want.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so, men, we've been, programmed by society and life to be the go-getters. Go get that car, go get that house, go get that bag, go get that job. And so we kind of equate that to the women that somehow I can finesse this. Somehow, if I just put enough sweat equity into this relationship, I can acquire this. But in relationships, you have to be with someone who's going to meet you halfway. It's not just on you. This person has to want it as much as you do. And that is a big slap in the face for most men because we're told in every other area, hey, you work hard enough, you can be the quarterback. You work hard enough, you can get the most points in the game, all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to relationships, it's the first time we're in a situation where no matter how hard I work, it still may not work.
Yeah, that's good, man. And just people that just joining us, we're talking about brokenhearted men, and Gregory is going through the 5 steps of what is this?
5 steps of healing. Yeah.
5 steps of healing. And number one was,
Seek God's love.
yeah. Number two
Yeah.
was be kind to yourself.
And number three, the one you were talking about earlier when you were in my head,
Yeah.
is go to therapy. Go to
Okay.
therapy. Go to therapy or find sound counsel. I know everyone cannot afford therapy. So I'm going to say find sound counsel. Find someone in your life who you can talk to. No shame, no judgment. And someone who can be objective with you. And so you use your discernment also, because there are some people who love you that will make all of your wrongs right. Don't go to them. Go to someone who's going to call you out and say, you know, you had a part to play in this too, sir. You didn't treat her well. You didn't take her out. You didn't show up the way that a man should show up in her life. So it kind of makes sense that she walked away. You want someone that's going to be objective with you. So find sound counsel,
Yeah.
which is
And
key.
is you talked about making sure it's someone that's just not going to be your cheerleader. And
Yeah.
people say that if they love you, they're going to give you the right advice. There's some people that love you that's not going to give you the right advice. It's
Yeah.
based off their ability or their own brokenness or need for healing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Number
number
four
three,
is
go to therapy.
Number three is go to therapy. Number four is pursue a hobby you always wanted to do. Now, if everybody, I believe, has something in their head, they would say, if I had more time. If I had more time, I would learn to go play the piano. If I had more time, I would go and learn more cooking recipes. If I had more time, I would go to the gun range. If I had more time, I would do this. Do that thing that you say that if I had more time, I would do. Go do that. Invest that time into doing that. You're not going out on dates anymore.
Yeah.
Spend that time going doing that thing. For me, I played piano up until I was 12 years old, and I wish I had never stopped. And so that's on my if I had more time, I would do list. And so if I had a broken heart right now, I would probably start taking piano lessons.
Yeah. Okay. Stevie Wonder, Ray Charles, who else?
John Legend, all of that good stuff.
Yeah, Legend, more modern. Yeah, cool.
The GOAT Prince himself. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And number five, listen, I think this is probably one of the most important things, and you may find surprising that I'm actually going to say. Set aside time every day to grieve until you don't have to grieve anymore. What we try to do as men is that we try to suppress those feelings throughout the day. Like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not gonna get emotional, and you never set aside time to let it out. I ask men every single day, say from 9 to 9:30, or from 8:30 to 10:30, however you feel like time you need. Say, this is my pocket of time where I'm going to release my sadness and my frustration. Set aside time every day to grieve until you don't have to grieve anymore.
So
And you'll
take us
know.
through it and tell us, what is that? How can that look? What can that
Yeah,
look like? How to grieve? Set
yeah,
aside
yeah.
time to grieve. What does that look like?
Yeah. So you're going to look at all of those text messages that you should delete. You're going to remember those. You're going to look at those pictures that you should delete also. And you're going to remember the good times. And you're going to say to yourself, I should have done better. I should have shown up better. Or if it was her fault, I'm going to choose better the next time. I'm going to choose better. What happens is, if you don't do that, when you go grocery shopping and you see a couple holding hands, it's going to trigger you, and you're going to want to have an emotional breakdown. So set aside that time to grieve. And what that also does, you're gonna play your boys to men, do whatever your grieving looks like. Play your boys to men, close the blinds, and that kind of thing. You do those things, and what that does for you is that allows you the capability to make it through the day and say, not until 9 o'clock, not until I get home. Wait till I get into the shower tonight, because the shower is my time to grieve. And you're able now to make it through life a little bit more easier, knowing that you don't have to avoid it. It's just not time yet. It's just not your time.
So she's saying, are you, Nicole Chastity says, are you talking about grieving the living?
I am. I'm talking about grieving a relationship right here at this particular moment. Grieving a lost loved one is a different thing, but a broken heart is what I'm specifically talking about now.
Yeah. I mean, I like that when you first said number 5, I was like, hold up, man. Like, I'm trying to get over it. Why do I want to replay? But
Yeah,
you
the
saying
the
it,
key
go ahead.
the key is the comma. The key is until you don't have to do it anymore. So you're doing it so you don't have to do it. That's the goal. So let's say you start from 9 to 10. A week from now, I want you to go from 9 to 9:40, and then from 9 to 9:20, and then to 9 to 9:10. It's going to get that time should shrink as we progress through the weeks.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that was good, man. So those were the 5 steps of healing. And number 5 was set aside time every day to grieve until you don't have to grieve anymore. That's going to be tough. And I imagine and suspect that sometimes you need to be armed with a way out, like because grief can be overwhelming sometimes. Like you need
Hmm.
not just like a light switch to cut it off, but you might have to have a way out or something to do to deflect or get away from it. If you overcome to a point to where it just kind of takes you down.
It pops up when you don't want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shows up when you don't. It's always uninvited, always uninvited. So whenever it shows up, you don't. Always an unwelcome visitor.
Yeah.
But we can control it. It doesn't have to control us,
Yeah.
and that is the thing that we have to understand. We are in the captain's seat here. We're in the driver's seat, not the grief, not the pain.
That's
We
good.
are in control.
Love that, man. That's good perspective right there. So we're gonna go to a commercial real quick, and we're gonna come back. And we just talked about what does it look like, but now we're gonna talk about how does it affect self, which we kind of got in there, but families and society as well. Brokenhearted man that goes
Yeah.
to check like, how does it affect us in those arenas. So
And
go to
I also want to talk about why is a man considered zesty when he has emotions?
man, we definitely gonna hit that one too. We're gonna hit that one too. So let's go to this commercial break, and we're gonna come back and talk about the zesty man. How about it?
How about that?
Your success ain't gonna happen overnight. It may take a year, it may take 2 years, it may even take 10 years. For some people, it might take even longer than that. But one thing I do know, as long as you keep fighting and staying consistent, you will make it. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, are you gonna make it?
Creed. Step in that water, step in that water, step in that water. Yeah. You gotta be willing to go out and get it. You gotta dive in it, go and get it. Step in that water, step in that water.
All right, all right. Welcome back. Welcome back. That was the homie Miracle Hendricks. He
Yeah.
is the official barber for the Floor is Yours podcast. If you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, specifically out in the Colony, Louisville area, go visit the brother, man. Real talented stylist. Get you right. He got clothing. He has eyewear, other accessories too. So Miracle Hendricks, the official barber of the Floor is Yours podcast. Yeah. So take off, man. What's next, man?
Listen, I also one of the things that I want men to understand also as well is that you have a broken heart, but you don't have a broken mind. So when men have a broken heart, if it's a really bad one, they feel worthless. They feel like they can't contribute to anything. And so if they have a broken heart, then they feel like they can't contribute physically, emotionally, spiritually. Well, I'm here to tell you, listen, broken colors, broken crayons still color. Broken crayons still color. So even in the midst of your brokenness, sir, you can still be of service. And that also helps when the recovery phase of getting over a broken heart. When you see that I still have value, broken crayons still color. And so you can still serve your church, your children, your community. You are still valued. Just because she didn't see your value doesn't mean you're not valuable.
Yeah, it's crazy because these aren't just inspiring words; they're truths. And I think if we embrace them and just try to put it to work, be intentional with it, you'll start to feel better. So hey, So you talked about how men, are called zesty if they
Yeah,
show their emotions, their feelings, or even talk about that we can be
yeah.
brokenhearted. Like, how can you have that balance, or should you even worry about that balance? For what, we want to show ourselves as strong leaders, but at the same time, it's okay to show your emotions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is a funny world we live in, because we ask men to be all things, strong and also uh, vulnerable at the same time. What does zesty mean? Zesty is a insult that is given to men when they show their when they show fragility, when they show they're fragile. So case in point, many years ago, some of you may remember this. Tyrese went on a rampage on Instagram Live. He was under medication at the time, and he was crying about not having custody of his kids. And he had memes for days after that, months for after that. People were making fun of him because he was on Instagram crying. Because he had, at one point said, "What do you want from me?" He said, "I'm, giving everything I got. What do you want from me?" People were teasing him because of that. And then also, you think about Will Smith when Jada Pinkett admitted to her entanglement. You saw Will across the table, you know, literally with tears in his eyes, as his wife was discussing, her extramarital affair. And also, Devon Franklin, who was married to Megan Good, when after they got divorced, he had posted a picture of him shedding tears because he was brokenhearted, and he was talking about I'm working. In the post, he said, "I'm working through the pain," and all of these men got dragged. All of these men were laughed at because they showed their tender side. They showed weakness. They showed vulnerability. And so when a man sees that, of course he's not going to want to express it. Of course he's never going to want to show when he's hurt or he's in pain. And that's why, real men talk is such a good thing because this is a safe place. Gerard and I will both admit we've had our hearts broken. I mean, yeah, it's been nasty. It's been ugly. It's been ugly. And so, but men are called zesty when we appear to be too vulnerable. And there is a fine line. This is what I think, Gerard. I think women are okay with men showing their vulnerability. They just don't want us to appear to be as vulnerable as them.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's an important concept, and we talked about it before the show. If you're a leader of an organization and everybody's looking to you for guidance, we're not saying don't show your emotions. I think your emotions are what, we talked about this in the past, protect you and save you. Like, if there was no fear, I walk around pet tigers and hold king cobras because the colors are beautiful, right? So
Right.
emotions save, actually allows us to live, a safe life. So, but to your point, um, how we express those emotions or what you're talking about, if I'm understanding, like healthy emotional regulation.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, but then also know what your company can receive. And
Mm,
this may sound too extreme, but I know situations where the
yeah,
wife is not able to handle all of her husband's emotions. And so he needs a safe place outside of his marriage, a counselor, a pastor, a deacon, an elder of some sort, to kind of more who can more readily identify the fears and complications of being a husband, of being a father, and the fears that come along with that. Because his wife gets nervous.
yeah,
Not that she looks down on him, but she gets anxious and she gets nervous about, oh, he's nervous about our finances, or he's afraid for the children going to this new school, or he's thinking we may have to downgrade, and she gets anxious and nervous, and he's just looking to someone to get stuff off his chest with. And so you have to be cognizant and realize, can my company receive what I need to share?
yeah. And not this, you and I talked about, there can be some ambiguity about, like, what does that look like? And I like this um, comment from Chastity, and she's being open, honest. Like, she don't know if she says a man with too much, and too mean implies that there's an excess, too much,
Yeah, yeah,
emotion. She said it scares her. And to your point, you, what you said, women don't want the man to be overly or out of control with it. Is
hmm
that a better way of saying it or a different way to say it?
No, you're absolutely right because men, we should present stability in our family. We should present strength in our family. And so if the man is worried, then everybody else should be worried. You know, they say there's no reason to be afraid when you're on an airplane if the pilot is calm. But if the pilot is nervous, then you should be nervous. And so it's the
Oh
same thing
man.
with the household as well. And so, and I get rightfully so why a woman would be turned off. That's not attractive for a man to be overly emotional because she doesn't want to date another woman. She wants to date a man, right? But at the same time, it's a learning curve when you're trying to find that equilibrium of like how do I express my emotions to my woman and how do I appear to be vulnerable? And generally, with the exception of losing a parent, most women don't like to see men cry.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the other part is the expectation for men to bottle up what they're
Mm,
feeling to a point to where it does get unhealthy. So now we go back to what we talked about initially, like finding that safe space. You know, and this is not condoning any of the side chick behavior. But you know, when we talk about, I've talked to men and they talk about how those relationships started, and it was a woman that listened to him, you know, and the one that he was with would not. So again, two things can happen. She needs to listen, but he also needs to express his emotions in a healthy way. But also there has to be grace. Like he can't be so restricted that if you do it wrong, now you're zesty.
yeah, yeah. Now you're sassy. That's right.
Yes, sassy. Hey,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
So I
all
like,
of the above, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Number
so
one,
he
though,
should, but
a man should never go to another woman when he's having issues. It should always be another man. Men should talk to other men, unless it's a licensed certified counselor or something like that. You never want to go to the chick in the office. No.
hey, I would say this, man. You know, water take the path of least resistance. So again, not knowing anything, man, but it just shows you in those times how important you need to be in tune and locked in with each other, right? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
again, not excusing that behavior at all.
Yeah.
Yahisha says, I don't associate zesty with men showing emotions. And she follows up and says, zesty tends to include other feminine behaviors or physical actions. So I'm sure she's right. It's probably, you know, unpacking it, but yeah, that we know we will assign a negative term to behaviors as a means to control a man. To
Yeah. So just man to man. So women, you're going to hear me say something you may not agree with. Women want men to be emotional occasionally, not consistently,
yeah. So that
right?
sounds opportunistic, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's man to man talk. I know a lot of ladies probably like ready to type, say no, 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 we ready anytime, any day. But there does come a point where a man can appear too emotional to his woman, and that creates a sense of
Yeah.
unsafetyness. She feels unsafe now.
Yeah. So man, it's been good, man, and it's coming up on. We try to wrap it up in the next 10 minutes. So I want to spend some time getting to these comments because we promised the audience that, and that's so important to us here, right? It's the Floor is Yours podcast, and we want to make sure that as you're typing and commenting that we're addressing it as much as we possibly can. So while I got the resident expert here, we're gonna make sure that we let him address as many as he see fit. So here's one that was early on from Chastity. Um, when we was talking about how you doing versus how's your mental, she said she says I've answered that question. I'm good, and yourself knowing that she wasn't okay.
Yeah, you know what? That happens so much in everyone's life. You should have at least one or two people that when they ask you that question, you can answer it truthfully. You're not going to be able to do it all the time with everybody, but if you can find one good person that when they ask you how you doing, you can pause and really let go, then you are blessed. And so
Yeah,
you're just looking for that safe place. It doesn't have to. You don't have to constantly be emotionally transparent to everybody, but you
yeah,
should have a safe place.
that's good. You're right. You can't do it for everybody. You shouldn't even try. So
Yeah.
that's knowing the people, and also the people you're confiding in. Hopefully, they have the capacity to be value added to you in that space too. So
Yeah.
yeah, be careful.
Yeah.
And she followed up with this one. She said another way to spin it is that's why she said that's why I try to switch it up and say what's on your heart today. So answering it
That's
or
good.
asking it different ways, I think, can be beneficial as well.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Amen to this one here, Chastity. She said, "This is good. I pray that this reaches many, especially the men. Well, I shouldn't say the men. The women need it too, so they can help us, in those areas. Sometimes that and lay down at night. That's the only person that's next to us is our lady. So yeah, I
Yeah.
hope. Yeah. Tamika replying to Chassie, she said, "Yes, I started going deeper because that was the answer I received all the time, and I was so happy with the authentic responses I get." You're right. Switching those questions up sometimes can cause people to pause and really consider, like, "Wow, let me answer this in a truthful way. How's your mental versus how am I doing?"
I love that. I'm gonna start using that in life. That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. Here's another one from Chastity. I don't think we got this one yet. Oh, I'm gonna let you read this one and then answer it, respond
Yeah.
to it.
It took me going through 8 different therapists to finally find one that aligned with my needs. Find good therapy. Wow, that is such a great response because a good therapist is like dating. You don't usually marry the first person you date. And I think that's something that is not said enough. When you're finding a good therapist, it's normal. I want to normalize this to go through at least 2 or 3, maybe even 4 before you find the right one. That is very normal. And good for you, Chastity, to stay in there until you got the right one, even after 8 different attempts, because you saw the value in the process. You just was now looking for a good partner to do the process with. So yeah,
Yeah,
good
this
for you.
brings some up too when we're out searching for mates or safe spaces to ensure that we're in. If you look at it like the financial market, like which
Hmm.
market are you in? And sometimes we're confiding into people that's not their capacity or their ability. So she
Hmm.
says, when my here it is. When my heart is broken, my everything feels broken. She said, I'm not there yet. And I'd say that to say, like, let's make sure that you're surrounded by capable people that can encourage you. And even if they don't know the answer, they can help get you there. Or sometimes just fill in the gap, be a presence for you, encourage you in ways until you get the answer that you need or the help that you need.
Can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah, please.
Just on a universal level, I want to say this is that pain is a teacher, and pain will leave you once you learn the lesson. So when you say you're not there yet, I want you to start asking yourself, what is it I'm supposed to learn? Because pain will leave you once it's finished teaching you. So ask your pain, ask yourself, what is this teaching me about myself and about my choices? So that now you can head to the storm. That's walking toward the storm. What is it I'm supposed to learn about myself and my choices so that I can get through this?
Yeah, that's good, man. That's good. Miss Coley Brown, I'll let you take this one from her too.
If you can't confide in me and the world's already beating you down, who can you confide in and wonder why these men bottle up so much and explode? You're right. If we can't confide in our woman, then there is a problem. There is a problem. However, I will add that no one person can be your everything. No one person can be your God. So you're going to need your wife. You're going to need God. You're going to need your rod. You're going to need your homies. You're going to, you're going to need the guys to play basketball with. You're going to need the deacon at the church. You're going to need your barber. You're going to need all of these people because we live in community. It takes a tribe. It
Yeah,
takes a tribe. And yes, your spouse should be your greatest source of security and support, but they can't be your only source of security and support. That is too much to ask of one person.
I was going to say that's probably kind of unfair to expect them to be all that too, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And you're talking about community. So this comment from Tamika was right on time. She said, and that's exactly where a good therapist and a supportive community is a must.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Find yourself a good therapist and a good barber
for sure.
to get all that out.
And a good person for the pedicures.
That's right.
And I ain't zesty.
Yeah.
I get pedicures. So Taisha says emotional regulation is key. Absolutely. You know, I tell people all the time, I'm not talking about how you feel. I'm talking about how you show your emotions.
Mm.
You know, how you feel is how you feel. And I think it's important to acknowledge that. But just because I'm angry, don't mean I get to bust out windows and, you know, raise all kind of cane right there. So find healthy ways to show
Wow,
you.
that your Texarkana is showing because you
Yeah,
said Raising Cane.
raising cane, man. Yeah, man. I'm trying not
Yeah.
to. And that's one thing I've been working on in 2025.
Okay.
Doing good, man. Hey, you find those alternative words, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm gonna let you read this one from Chastity. Man, we gotta get Chastity on the show, man. Chastity, we got some great insight and some great input, man. I would love to have some one-on-ones with her, but I'll let you read this one
Mhm.
from her as well.
My ex cried about everything. I thought he was just trusting me with his vulnerability. He was just manipulating me the whole time. Chastity, I'm sorry to hear that. Either two things was happening. Yes, you were dealing with a manipulator who was always looking to get a rise out of you or get sympathy from you, or you was dealing with someone who could not emotionally regulate, who did not want to accept accountability and say, I am the victim. Everybody, woe is me. Everybody, because that's ego. Ego always wants to be the best, and so ego is not just like I'm the best basketball player in the room. Ego also says no one's had it harder than me. No one's has the biggest challenges as me, and so you're dealing with either someone who was a manipulator or someone who could not emotionally regulate. And either
Yeah,
way, that's not somebody you want to be with.
right. And often you see people that sit in that space, that spirit of offense, because they like the
Mm,
special treatment that they get when they're there.
that's
So wow,
true.
yeah, Chastity is going to tiptoe around me because I'm upset. She's going to stay home because I'm upset. You know, she's going to do whatever. You know, excuse
Yeah,
my immature behavior because I'm upset.
yeah,
You're right. People will sit in that spirit of offense just because they like the special treatment that they get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, from Tamika, she's replying to Chastity. See, yes, I've seen men weaponize emotion, and it's crazy to see women dealing with it all. Man, that's tough. And I know we was going to talk about self accountability, and that's going to be something that we go on to a different show. But you're right. You know, while we are talking about healing and getting the help you need and building a community, that's unfortunate that you got men that will weaponize, you know, the good heart of the community to use it to one of my phrases to stay raggedy.
Yeah, that's right. Here's something to take away. Manipulators aren't just looking for good people. They aren't looking for nice people. Manipulators are looking for people with no boundaries. And so that's why you often see narcissists with people who tend to be very giving
Yeah,
because a giver doesn't have boundaries. And once you have boundaries, you'll find that those manipulators become less attracted to you.
yeah, absolutely. So I'm gonna let you take this one from Miss German.
Sorry, I was late. Just getting off work. That's okay, girl. Get your coins. I love what you gentlemen are doing on here. Much needed platform for discussion. Once we seek to understand each other, men and women can cease attempting to tear each other down. Amen. Hallelujah. Let the choir sing. Um, I think that this is really the foundation. I think for me, I see that we have so much discord between men and women, especially black men and black women, that it almost seems like a war against each other. And I said this in our last podcast together, Gerard, talking with the ladies on our platforms. Like I need them. I need women in my life. I need spiritually kind, loving, sensitive, intelligent women in my life because they bring something to me that I don't have the capacity to offer myself. I need their perspective. And it's when we just take a moment, pause, put ourselves in their shoes for a moment, and try to understand where they're coming from, that war, I think, will cease. And I think we all will be the better for it because we need each other. We are better together than we are apart.
Hey man, I think key in her statement too, her comment is when she said the word understand each other. You know, we fear what we don't understand. We
Hmm.
reject what we don't understand. So that has to be part of the discussion and dwelling and living with each other is
Yeah.
understanding each other, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And we also try to fix what we don't understand.
Oh man,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's good.
Mhm.
Um, Tamika says a safe space keeps us sane and is a stress reliever. Amen to that. Yeah,
It is. Yeah. You never there'll never be a time in life when you don't need a safe space.
yeah,
That'll never go away in anyone's life.
yeah. This is one of Coley Brown's. This is one of her coin terms. She says a lot on her when she's posting growing pains. You know, it's a
Yeah.
part of it, right? Growing is not most comfortable, and often it is associated with some sort of pain, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Uh,
Growth is oftentimes accompanied with pain. Yeah.
yeah. And Chastity was saying thank you to the advice that you gave her earlier, you know, about dealing with, you know, what she was going through.
Oh, you're welcome, sis.
Yeah, yeah. No charge either, Chastity. No
No,
charge.
no charge. No
Just
charge.
see me next time.
You can go buy my book though. I'd
Yeah,
appreciate
for sure.
that. Just kidding, Chastity. We love
Yeah. Hey, and here's one of the smartest ladies I know, Miss Disha. She said, "Pain will leave you once it's finished teaching you." Amen to that. So she's amplifying what you stated earlier. Yeah, that was a good one. We're gonna have to put that one on a t-shirt too.
you.
Um, Chastity is giving us our flowers again. She said this felt like a therapy session. Thank you both. Yeah, appreciate you. Glad to know that what we're doing is meaningful work and that we're not out here just talking for the sake of talking.
Just talk. It's funny she said that because people tell me I always talk like I'm in a therapy session. My
Yeah,
godmother tells me all the time. She said, "You talk in points." She said, "Every time I leave you, always leave me with 3 points."
yeah,
Like I can't help it. It's just how
yeah.
I am.
It's good. Oh yeah, and she said get off Texarkana. She from there too. So
I had
yeah.
to get him. I had to get him though. I had to get him on
Yeah.
that one.
Oh man, I'll let you take this one from Miss German.
Yes, Chastity. My ex-hubby did the same. Gaslighting and manipulation at its finest. Uh, it is sad when we find these manipulators, and so, but when I see someone who is with a manipulator, my immediate response was, well, how well did you protect yourself? And hopefully, what you've learned from this situation, or your biggest takeaway from this situation, is now to protect your heart with boundaries and allow them to earn your love. Allow them to prove themselves first before you start giving. Because givers, I would suspect that Chastity and the lady that's responding here are all big givers. Because givers get hurt the most by manipulators, and that is, let me set up boundaries for who I naturally am. Your gift is not the problem, is how you manage your gift is your problem.
Mm. And that's some self responsibility and accountability right there. So it's
Mhm.
good.
Yeah,
Tiffany was responding to the beef between male and women, male and female, especially in the
yeah,
black community. Yeah,
yeah.
it
It's
does
bad.
feel like a cold war. It might be going past a cold war at some point. We got to do better. I love this one right here, man. I'm gonna let you read it and expound on it, if you will.
And we need our men. You know what? That touches my heart to hear a woman say that, because men, I think, are not showing up the way that they show up because they're not valued the way that they should be valued. And I mean that, and not in an egotistical way. But I mean that in the way that men repeat behavior that is validated. So when you tell your husband, I love the way you take out the trash, I love the way you fix stuff around the house, I love the way you pay the bills, guess what he's going to want to do? He's going to want to repeat that behavior. And so when you tell us as men, we need you, I need you at home to help me, to kill the bugs that I don't want to kill. I need you at home to do this, that, and the other. When you validate us and you show us where you need us, we're going to show up that way because we love that feedback. But now we're in a society where we're just ripping each other apart. And men's mentality is, okay, if I'm a dog, I'm gonna be a dog.
Yeah,
If you think I am, then I might as well should. Let me go ahead.
yeah, it's a cop out, but unfortunately it does work that way sometimes. So
Mhm.
yeah, Chastity is amplifying that. She said, "Man, we need you. Please heal." Amen to
Mm.
that. Yeah,
Amen to that.
and we're
Amen to
gonna
that.
do our part to make sure that we're are doing just that. So, um, Taisha said, "Empath by nature." She's talking about herself. boundaries are set and enforced. Thanks to lots of time with God and my therapist. That is that therapist again. And I like what you said earlier. Even if you don't have the resources or the ability to get a therapist, get wise counsel, right?
Yeah, get wise counsel. Yeah, absolutely. We cannot make it through life alone. We're not
Yeah.
meant to.
It wasn't meant to. Yeah, I'll let you take this one from Tiffany.
When I started educating myself on the types of narcissists, it really helped me set boundaries really quickly and healthily. Yeah, even with all of us, even here with men, men are givers too, because it's in a man's nature. A good, healthy man will want to protect you. A good, healthy man will want to provide for you. A good, healthy man will want to serve you and support your dreams. And so, what happens is you have a good man who says, "Hey, I want to help her build her business. I want to help send her back to school," and she's just using him because he didn't set those boundaries and say, "Okay, well, if I'm doing A, then you should do B." You know, and that is a marriage. It's reciprocity. It is you give a little, you take a little. You give a little, you take a little. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just to go back to this comment from Chastity, she said, please heal. And we talked about this a few shows ago. Like, what does healing look like? And I'm paraphrasing what you said before, but you said you'll know it when the change behavior is consistent over a number of months.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, over extended. Yeah. Consistent behavior over an extended period of time. That's when real change can, be considered change. That's when change can be considered change when it's consistent over time. Healing also looks like healing can also look like, how should I say this? Quiet strength. That when a person walks into the room, they don't have to be loud or abrasive. They're steady in their ways.
Yeah.
And so you're looking for someone who has consistency, steadiness, and someone that has the integrity and not just talk the talk but walks the walk as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a
Oh,
couple more before we shut it down. Tamika says she's getting ready to start every sentence with "I need you to," being specific.
I
and
love that.
yeah,
To her man, right? Yeah.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Chastity
Tamika,
says,
I need you. Tamika is an intelligent woman. We've spoken and I enjoyed the conversation, and it's always a blessing when you, as a man, talk to a woman who has love in her heart. And
mhm,
I don't think women know that. Men can pick that up as well. But when we feel it, like, oh, she's coming from a real place. When men say she's coming from a real place, that means she is pure of heart. And Tamika is one of those women.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And we know
Hmm.
quite a few of them. And that's the thing we was talking about earlier about the market that you're in. We've surrounded ourselves with those type of people because we need them.
Hmm.
You go, what Biggie said, more money, more problems, and just take it out the realm of money. Just when you elevate and operate in higher levels, like the attack is different, and it
Yeah.
hits in ways that you need strong, supportive people around you.
Yeah. Going back to the broken heart for a second, not only do we need them, but a good, healthy man wants his woman to need him too. I when I was in love, I remember the last broken heart that I had. I remember loving her in a way that I wanted to be the one to protect her. I wanted to be the one to provide for her. I wanted to be her biggest cheerleader. I wanted to help make her dreams come true. And so when a man is healed, he wants to support you. And so that's why I hope Real Men Talk becomes, a safe place for men because I think women are ready for us to show up that way because we want you to want us as well. We want you to need us. We want to be your knight in shining armor. The problem is sometimes we don't know how to do it. And if you could be patient with us and not call us zesty, we can reach that middle ground. We can reach it.
Yeah, that's good. Good. I like this comment, and we're gonna close it out for Chastity. She said, "Baby, thank you for paying all the bills." She said she just practicing for when she get that man in her life.
Yeah, yeah. And she should start practicing hearing thank you for cooking all the meals. Thank you for help
All the meals. I think that's
cook
probably
cleaning the house, you know?
yeah. Man, hey, we're gonna say what I was about to say for another show. So, Greg, man, this has been a
Yes.
good discussion, but this is where you get to wrap up the discussion and give us some parting thoughts and words of encouragement.
Yeah, leaving all biases aside, just talking to the men here, man to man, for a moment. Um, a relationship is one of the most expensive things you will ever have in your life. So make sure you invest wisely. And if you're looking for a lifetime partner, if you're looking for marriage, here's the key. Realize this, that marriage is a ministry. That means you are committing a lifetime of service to this person. That means you are looking for no more excuses, and ask yourself, is this the person I want to give the biggest investment I will ever give in life to? Is this the person that I find joy in serving? Because when you love someone, you do find joy in serving. Do I find joy in serving her? Because marriage is a ministry. And then also, sir, because you are a king and you deserve it, does she enjoy serving you? It has to be mutual. Again, a relationship is the most expensive thing you will ever invest in. So make sure you invest wisely.
Yeah, man, that's this old house party movie with Bernie Mac. It's
Hmm.
like words to live by. That's good. Words to live by, man. So that's good. So, man,
Yeah,
I appreciate the wisdom when I called you yesterday. I was going somewhere different with the
yeah,
possible
yeah,
topic.
yeah,
By the
yeah.
time we finished, I was like, man, this has to happen. So I appreciate your wisdom, just your listening ear and your willingness to come in and man, just feed the people what we need. So thank you for that. And the
My pleasure.
audience, yeah, audience, we can't do this without you. We appreciate your participation. We appreciate you riding with us for an hour and going on 18 minutes now. We went over a little bit, but I think it was a needed conversation. I'm blessed and I'm definitely edified from it, and I hope that you were too. So we're gonna let Greg tell you one more time about his book and where you can purchase it from. I know Tamika put the plug in. I'm trying to find it real quick. But go ahead and tell us
Appreciate you.
about your book.
Yeah, yeah. So my book you can find on Amazon. You just type in Gregory McKinney book or Gregory McKinney author, and it'll pop up. Emotional Intelligence for Men. And this is such a great book because you can give it to someone as a gift. It's not a long read, but they're going to take away sound nuggets about what is emotional intelligence, how they can grow in their emotional intelligence, what are the signs of emotional intelligence, so that that man in your life, or if you're a man for yourself, can how to become a better father, a better leader, a better contributor to your community. Because I personally am on a mission to help as many men possible overcome their spiritual and emotional struggles. And so I offer this book. Then hopefully that many men would read and also many women would read so that our men can be strong and be the men that God wants us to be so that our women can feel safe and our children can be guided correctly. So Amazon, type in Gregory McKinney, and you'll be blessed by it. I guarantee it. And if you don't, then I'll apologize.
Hey, that's all. If you give an apology, I guess that's good enough. And just one shameless plug for us this weekend, right here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, actually in Plano, we have an event. It's called the Power of Real Estate. And when we're talking about how we can improve our standing and with our families and our communities, we've talked about how most of us are not going to get, the high paying salaries like the six-figure jobs. What they say, less than 8% of black men make six figures or above. So $100,000 or more, less than 8% of us black men make that right there. So what do we have to do? We have to be um, what's the word I'm looking for? We be creative with how we come about bringing in additional income. And real
Mhm.
estate is one of the ways that we'll do that. So we got some power players. Miss Hillary Houston, she's a broker and she's heavy in investment properties. We got Deborah Jones. She's the owner of Diamond Air Realty. She's a broker as well. And she's going to be sharing just some tidbits on buying a home and showing people just how affordable and capable that buying a home can be if you're understanding the market. And my boy Superman T. Will, he's been a regular on the show. He is the credit guru. He's going to talk to you about credit and financing as well. So that's this weekend. It's the power of real estate. Go to my page, and I'll also put the link, the Eventbrite link, in the comments. So if you're around, it's a 4-hour event that we're going to put on Saturday and just teach people other ways to bring in income. And boy, I can always count on Tamika to come through in the comments right here. So there's the link to Eventbrite. Go check it out. Sign up, register. It's free. And this information is going to be life changing. And here we are. We got people that look like us, that have a vested interest in seeing our community grow. So I'm going to just come out and be a part of something great this Saturday.
That's awesome. I love that. That's great.
For sure. See you there then, Gregory, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I'm going to let you close us out, man.
Yeah. Well, hey, to everybody that was here supporting us, we don't take it for granted, because, as I always say, the most important thing that you own is your time, and for you to spend your time with us, we consider a privilege. So thank you. We hope that this conversation bless you. This is Real Men Talk, where we chop it up and we keep it real with you. You know, men, we struggle, we hurt, we cry, we feel pain too. And hopefully here is a place where we can acknowledge what issues we're facing. We give you real solutions for it, so that you can go back the next day, wake up the next morning stronger and better, feeling like the Superman that you are, because you are created to be a king. Listen, you are a masterpiece because a piece of the master lives inside of you. So to everybody watching, I want you to send us a link, send us a shout out in the comments about what you would like to hear us talk about next. No topic is too taboo for us. We want you to tell all your friends, your family, your dog, your sister, your cousin, your goldfish about us, because we're here to do the work, to help and to entertain at the same time, and laugh and chuckle. But we love you guys. We thank you so much for joining us tonight. We look forward to serving you more in the future. And until next time, my friends, men, keep it real.
Hey, we put our finger up in church because we got one more little thing. So one more thing, Pastor, if you don't mind. I almost forgot. My boy, Mo Thompson. So I was in a wedding in 2023. Here we go. I was in a wedding back in 2023. Good friend of mine. I was the best man. We went to Jamaica. A beautiful wedding. Tight group of close friends, Army buddies. Well, 5 months after the wedding, his wife died. She passed away from blood clot. Of course, things like that are sudden and fast. So tragic, heartbreaking. But he actually wrote a book, and it's called The Widower's Parable. And he goes through and he tells his story, and he used an acronym in the Army. It gets away from me right now, but here's the Eventbrite. So it's soon after the Power of Real Estate. We're going to fall right into his book signing deal. And it's a powerful book, man. We had him on the show, actually interviewed him and listened to his story. So Saturday, if you look for something to do, come out and support those two events. The first one is the Power of Real Estate. That starts at 10 o'clock. The link is in the comments, and followed by his book signing, my boy Mo Thompson, A Widower's Parable. It's going to be a fun time, and reflect on some things, some struggles, and how he dealt with heartbreak. So we would love to see you there out in Plano at the Sandman Signature Hotel. And now we'll close the show.
Won't need another, this one here really do it for you.
Baby, you need it for each yeah, baby, I'm all for each baby, come down to the let me show you how to do that for each
Now it's my turn to tell y'all about my big bro Gerard.